show, don't you?
You're back for more, aren't ya?
Oh, you fool. We got you in the palm of our hand. We run this town.
Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to our podcast where we watch Lost Out of Order. The show is called The Island Shuffle, and I am called Bean.
And I am called James. Welcome. Welcome here.
Welcome to our little show. I was going to say, how have you been this week? But the last episode we recorded 3 days ago. But I mostly looking for an excuse to say that you've got a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, brand new.
Brand spanking new.
Right from the box.
Yeah. What games that come with?
NHL, the only game I will ever play.
Honestly, pretty good game though.
Yeah. I'm really happy to now have a $500 NHL machine.
Honestly, I think there are worse places to just put that $500.
Yeah, like the bank.
Yeah, imagine that.
Who trusts banks anymore?
Yeah, come on. In this economy, I don't think so.
Honestly, in this country, though, maybe the snow bank.
Oh, brother, a winter. Hey, winter's coming. If you ask me, the temperature is changing.
If you ask me, changes every day.
Does change every day. If you listen.
Hour to hour, day to day. The temperature will never stay the same.
It's true. That's why we have weather people to tell us these changes.
And that's our show.
That's our show. Good episode. What an episode of the show that was. Thank you for tuning in. I've been Bean.
I've been James.
Okay. Enough clowning. Enough fooling. We've been goofing long enough. It's time to get to the meat and potatoes of the show.
Get down to some business here.
We watched an episode of Lost this week. It was unrelated to last week's episode, as it tends to be. What was the last episode we watched? It was pilot part 1, right?
It was pilot part 1. It was the very first episode that they made of the show.
Sure was. This, however, was season 3, episode 15, I want to say.
Yeah, episode 15.
That's right. It was called Left Behind.
And it was about being left behind.
Wow. They did it again, these crazy guys.
They named it about the show that took place.
What the heck are they thinking? Oh, it'll never catch on.
This episode was about Kate.
This episode was about Kate, but
it was also about Sawyer.
Yeah, Sawyer being the protagonist. It was, of course, about Sawyer.
But the flashbacks were about Kate.
Flashbacks were about Kate. But the flashbacks were also about Sawyer, kind of.
The flashbacks were about Sawyer, actually.
Yeah.
He actually drove the story just as much as Kate did.
Yeah.
Sawyer just is the protagonist. I don't. If you've listened to
this ain't
any
news.
of these episodes before, you know this. But I find it shocking every time that it reiterates this fact that he is the protagonist. There's no questioning it anymore.
It's really like kind of unbelievable how much of the protagonist he is. I want to, before we dive in, say that while we were watching this episode, we were munching on a very tasty guacamole that was made by James.
Hey!
And so I just wanted to say, guac's off to you.
Hey! Oh, thank you. Shout out to that $2 bag of avocados.
Hey, it served its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. Anyways, I don't know why that was a necessary detail to add.
People gotta know.
Yeah,
people gotta know what sort of state we're in.
Yeah, this is the thing. We're a little guacked out. And I think also it helps paint a picture. Because when you listen to us in your ears, you're thinking like, here's my buddy Bean and my buddy James,
and they're just in the void.
They're just in the void. No. We're sitting in James's living room. Beautiful living room. Fresh PS4.
Right there. Right in full view.
Right there. Detritus and all. And sitting there, comfy bowl of guac, some chips, and we're munching, and we're cracking wise, as we do.
Writing notes. Studying the show.
And trying to think, what are some wise wisdoms we can say on this little episode of ours?
And I think we got some material.
We do. What do you say we dive the hell in?
Let's get into it.
Want to start with the flashbacks, I guess?
Yeah, let's lay it down. Let's walk them through it.
Yes. So Kate, if you're unfamiliar with her story, she's a fugitive. She's on the run from the cops because of
from an FBI man.
From an FBI man.
I think the FBI man has a bit of a funny face.
He does have a very distinct kind of funny face, doesn't he?
It's good. It's not a bad face,
No.
and it's a good actor's face because it's not like a Ron Perlman face. It's sort of the way that who is that fucking guy? Michael Keaton sort of has a funny face.
Yes. It's a very or Willem Dafoe. That
it's that type of funny face.
It's in that genre of male actor.
He's just a much less successful version of Michael Keaton or Willem Dafoe.
That's
he
exactly
played
it.
FBI man in some episodes of Lost.
Exactly. I would be curious to see what else this guy's in. But not curious enough to look it up right now.
What if it was Willem Dafoe?
That would be crazy. What a get for Lost. What a steal. You know Willem Dafoe's in the new Death Note movie?
No.
Well, that's just a fun fact about Willem Dafoe.
Who does he play? The good guy or the foe? Who does he play?
He plays the god of death that drops the notebook in the start, which is a
Shit.
pretty crazy role. He's all made up and looks crazy.
Willem.
Yeah, he went for it. Anyways, I don't want to go off on the Death Note movie. This is not that podcast.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. We'll get there. Get enough guac in us, and we'll go off about anything. But basically, Kate's on the run. She's living all kinds of alternate identities and hitchhiking from town to town.
Her name is Lucy now.
Yep. She hitchhikes through Iowa and lands at a gas station. And who does she spot at that gas station?
Sawyer's fucking ex.
Sawyer's
that he
ex.
stole from.
Yes. Remember episode 1? That sweet long con?
This is the lady who got conned.
And now she's running grifts of her own, the very same watch grift that we saw her do in that episode.
She's selling jewelry in a gas station parking lot for $60 a piece.
And the fella is saying, "You're a faker. I'm going to call the cops on this bozo." But Kate comes through and says, "Hey, I'm from a jeweler store. Wink, wink. I recognize these as real. I'll buy them for whatever you're selling them.
$60. Give me that one."
And then once the gas station over leaves, Kate kind of pulls her aside and says, "Yeah, right. I know's a grifter when I sees one. Why don't you give me my money back and we can go to the bar and shoot the shit a little bit."
Yeah.
So
you know what I like
What's that?
about Kate's character?
Yes.
Is that in her backstory, and this is not long after she had commit the murder.
Yes.
But we are led to believe that she didn't have any sort of life of crime before she commit murder. But now that she has committed murder, she is like, she can spot a con from a mile away, and she can like run circles around the FBI. She just knows how all of it works because she killed a man once, which I think is like a true thing that happens.
Yeah, I mean, we've been over this. She has murder in her heart.
She has murder in her heart.
And once that murder was unlocked, the rest of the crime just followed suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's a really good point. And one thing I never even thought about
It's
before.
a really bizarre aspect of her character.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, she was not a criminal until she was, and the second that there was no learning curve.
Yeah.
She just jumped off the cliff and, like, was a criminal mastermind all of a sudden, which I like. And I feel like that is sort of the general feeling that I got from this entire episode.
Yeah.
It was just very like whimsically the plot didn't really need to make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All of the ends were so loosely tied together, but it was
Yeah.
just sort of like their conclusions were satisfying enough that I didn't give a shit that it was dumb.
Exactly. It was it was very like we're gonna put these characters together because we think that would make for some interesting scenes. And the logic behind it is gonna be a little tenuous, but we're gonna get some nice scenes about it. So what are you gonna complain about it? Who cares?
Exactly.
It's just TV, guys.
Exactly.
Just make believe.
It's just TV. You don't need to devote hours and hours and hours of your life to it. You don't need to devote at least one, if not several nights a week to analyzing it.
That's true, and yet here we are. So on that note, they really try to justify this particular pairing of Cassidy is the name of Sawyer's ex, and Kate, and so they're talking in a bar, And Cassidy's like, oh, I got conned by this freaking guy, and now I don't have any savings, so I'm just running con to con and doing my best. What about you? What's your story? And Kate, without missing a beat, is like, I murdered my stepfather. It confesses to the whole thing in a public bar. One of the most wanted criminals, presumably.
Why? In basically in the town that she commit the murder in too. In the small town where she murdered a person and lived her whole life, so seemingly she would be recognized.
Yeah. No, that's Lucy. She's Lucy now.
She's Lucy now. Lucy wears a hat.
Lucy wears a hat and
like a baseball cap, not like a disguisey hat.
She wears a hat and listens to a different Patsy Cline song, so you know it's like no, that can't be
that's
Katie.
Really funny.
So Cassidy's like, what the heck are you doing back here? Obviously this is a bad idea for you. And Kate's like, well, I gotta talk to my mom about why she ratted me out. And Cassidy's like, that's crazy. And Kate's like, what, are you gonna help me or something? And Cassidy thinks for a moment and goes, yeah, okay. So one of us deserves happiness, I guess. And it's like, okay, that's
the whole thing.
That's the whole logic. And then the next scene is Cassidy. Cassidy does a Kate cosplay, basically. Walks up to Kate's mom's home, knocks on the door, and is immediately accosted by several federal officers.
Yeah, they're like pointing guns at her. They toss her on the ground, and
then immediately, and then once it's like, I'm just some random girl.
I'm selling Bibles.
Yeah, I'm selling Bibles. Then she's like yelling at Kate in the hotel about like, what the heck? This better be worth it. Those were federal officers. Who could have? What the heck kind of? And she's like, okay, Cassidy.
Didn't you know what you're doing?
Yeah, you agreed. This is with a bid. You agreed to this.
Why did you agree to this? You never should have agreed to this. You could be arrested if they find this out, if they find out that you were helping this person. And then you're like shocked that it's like the law enforcement is involved.
Yeah, you're shocked that it's actually dangerous.
My favorite line that she says is, she barges in the hotel room and goes, they questioned me for 30 minutes. And it's like, that is not very long, honestly. Yeah,
you got
very short.
You got off pretty easy for being a Bible salesman who is cosplaying a fugitive.
Exactly, and the FBI.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's fun to watch. It's like, I don't really give a shit that it doesn't really work.
Because here's what it is. Here's what that leads to is Cassidy's just like, hey, you should explain yourself. Is this all worth it? And Kate's like, it is worth it to me because I gotta know why my mom ratted me out, and I'm sad about it. And Cassidy's like, well, okay, good enough for me again.
Let's keep doing this then.
Let's keep on keeping on. The final scene of them. No, they're not the final scene. Cassidy, they go to the diner where Kate's mom works. Kate's mom works. Kate only has one mom.
Mom Kate.
Mom Kate.
Well, do you know what her name is? Her name's Diane.
Diane, that's right, yes.
I like that.
Cassidy spills soup on Diane and goes, whoops, clumsy me. Diane goes to the bathroom, and who's in the bathroom but Kate? And they have a little heart-to-heart about how, and by heart-to-heart I mean strained conversation. And Kate's just like, why'd you rat me out? I did it. I committed that murder for you. And Diane's just like, no, you didn't. You obviously didn't. You did it for yourself, like you do everything, because you're selfish, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you run out.
You killed my husband.
Yeah, you did kill my husband.
He might have been a shitty dude, but
that was
what'd she say? She said, you can't help who you love.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, Diane.
All right, Diane.
You're allowed to be mad at your daughter for killing your husband, who, granted, was a very shitty dude.
Very shitty dude.
She was like, the funniest part that I liked was when she said, you burned him alive. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is like something that she's got to live with now. She's like, my husband got burned alive by my daughter. Yeah, it makes sense why she would be a little bit bitter about that one.
She wouldn't love that, that's for sure. And Kate kind of has a moment of like, oh darn, like, oh maybe it's not a moral black and white thing. Maybe what I did was a little on the gray area. Anyways, what happens next? I think Kate just ends up dropping Cassidy off at the gas station. And
Cassidy drops Kate off at the gas station.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
And Kate's like, give me the name of the ex what screwed ya. And and Cassidy's like, well, too bad, because I actually do still love him. Also, I'm pregnant. So
and it's his.
So
and
here's the
that's
daddy.
she has Sawyer's baby in there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sawyer was sort of not the main character of that storyline,
But he cast a shadow over it.
he cast a shadow, and his baby was in all of those scenes.
Yes, his baby was in all of those scenes.
That like undercover,
Mm-hmm.
but it was there the whole time. Sawyer's like little fetus baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the mark of a main character. Even when they can't be there, they like get a fetus in there somehow.
Exactly.
They get something to do their bidding.
Exactly. What'd you make of the flashbacks in general? Because I kind of felt like I liked how silly they were, and there was some of that like, oh yeah, Kate does have murder in her heart stuff. Overall, I didn't love them, but I liked them.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I thought they were much better than like some of the shittier Kate flashback things. It was way better than like the Taco Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Fucking that was a bullshit story that she never should have been saddled with. And this one was it's like it was very whimsical and they didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Or it seemed like there was just a lot of things that were incredibly convenient. And that was just sort of like a mark of poor writing. But it was also just it was good enough and it was sort of entertaining and it wasn't awful.
It was not awful. And it did have the decency to be like, you know, Kate, you did commit a murder. You did commit a real murder. Which
there was some like personal growth and shit.
Yeah, exactly. You could tell she had a moment where she was like, "Oh, my action. I did do this just for myself. Maybe what I did was not as noble as I thought it was." Sort of thing. So that's fine. Overall, that's a fine thing. And plus we get more Cassidy, who's always a delight. So the Kate's main story on the island. Is that she's being captured by the others, and they're living in that yellow housing complex that we all know and love.
We all live in a yellow housing complex, a yellow housing complex, a yellow housing complex. We all live in a yellow housing complex, a yellow housing complex, a yellow housing complex.
At least Kate does right now, as do the others. That guac, baby.
That guac, it really sets you off, eh?
It gets you going.
Yeah.
It gets you singing Beatles parodies like it's nobody's business.
Like it's, yeah.
But
it's our business.
It is our business because we're the ones with the microphones. We run this town.
Not the Beatles anymore.
No. Get out of here, John, Paul, Ringo, George. You're goners.
You're gone.
You ever try talking into the microphone instead of singing your little songs?
Idiots.
You hippies, get a haircut.
Get a haircut. Why don't you go start a real rock band like Limp Bizkit?
I don't know if there's any form of comedy greater than being unnecessarily harsh to the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Me too.
Anyways.
Idiots.
What are they, on drugs or something?
What are you, from England?
I can barely understand these guys. I am the walrus. What are you just putting words together, jumbling them together, you crazy loon?
I am the walrus. Cuckoo, ka-choo. Sounds more like you're a train. Cuckoo, ka-choo. Cuckoo, ka-choo. That's the impression of a train. Cuckoo, ka-choo.
That's how they sound. If you ever listen real close to a train, that's how they sound.
What do you call it? What do you call an expensive nut that is, it's gone crazy?
You call it a cuckoo cashew.
Yeah! That was not planned.
No, I figured it out on the spot.
That was really good. That was really good.
I could see those gears turning in your head. I know you, James.
They don't stop.
They don't stop. You're always thinking of what's the next wise I'm gonna crack.
Got the little hamster wheel spinning here.
Yeah, but it's a few hamsters short of a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right.
Isn't there a television show that we watch or something?
The Beatles.
Worst television
So
show.
back on the island.
So back on the island, Kate is captured. Locke comes in and says a really funny thing.
Oh yeah, that is really funny.
Locke is.
Oh fuck! It's really funny.
It's really funny what Locke. We gotta get it out because it's really good. Kate is captured in handcuffs in like the pool room, games room, classic place to capture people.
What are these people not like playing games? They just put their prisoners there. They give the prisoners all the games.
I'll tell you what, they're playing mind games.
They're playing mind games.
That's for darn
Sudoku.
sure.
Simon Says.
The most dense mind game of all.
Simon Says.
What's the next beep gonna be? No one knows.
Oh shit.
Christ. Okay. So Locke comes in, unhandcuffed, free as a bird. And and Locke comes in and Kate says, "Oh my God, Locke, did they capture you too?" And Locke says, "Yes, but only temporarily."
What the fuck, Locke?
I don't know. Locke is like, I feel like that's just Locke having a positive outlook. I mean, like, he's probably not wrong. That's a good way of like looking. Like, if you have to serve not a life sentence, but like say a 10-year sentence, you're only in prison temporarily.
Exactly.
That's not
only. Yeah. That's a really funny way to put it. Yeah. Actually, like you're sentenced to 10 years. Yes, but only temporarily.
I mean, yeah, 10 years turns to 9. Anyways, so they have a conversation about how Locke is going to leave, but Kate is going to stay behind. And Locke also mentions that something about like how they know that Kate's a bad guy or something.
Oh, yeah.
I forget the details of it. Doesn't really matter because the meat and potatoes of it is Kate wakes up one day, Juliet comes in to give her a sandwich, but Kate is on the offensive and attacks her. And Juliet replies by fucking like judo throwing her.
Flips her. Another interesting, bizarre case of this person should not possess these skills.
Yes, I don't know where Juliet learned mad fighting skills, but she puts them on display throughout this whole episode.
She has them.
It's very good. She's not quite the protagonist, but
she was for an episode or two.
She was for a little stretch there.
She was the only person who's ever challenged Sawyer in terms of protagonist.
Absolutely. I think Kate's getting up there. We've seen a lot of Kate.
Kate is getting up there, actually.
Anyways. Okay. So Kate looks out the window and sees everybody's packing up, getting ready to go. And they're putting on gas masks. Then suddenly someone tosses a gas mask, not a gas mask, a gas can or whatever, into her zone. And she passes the heck out.
It's fucking sleeping gas. You know sleeping gas? That thing that there is?
It's there, and it's real, and the others have it in spades.
Do you think that is real? I don't know that I've ever heard of sleeping gas.
Is that not
in like
real?
Maybe like sleeping gas in terms of like surgical. Oxide, yeah, exactly.
I've heard of that. I don't think I've heard of
a gas canister that you can toss in a room and it puts people to sleep.
Yeah, that is news to me for sure. Like even in video games, I don't see that. Video games where I have a whole array of grenades at my disposal.
And I've seen things in video games that I haven't seen in real life.
Yeah, you've seen the brand new NHL expansion team.
Yeah,
the Charlottetown Snakes.
The Charlottetown Snakes. They play in McDonald's parking lot.
They do play in McDonald's parking lot. They're in the Western Conference.
They're in the Western Conference.
Because that's where they had to get fit. And also they have a mascot who is a devil who wears a diaper.
You know the most unrealistic thing that I've seen in video games?
What's that?
I have never seen in real life? I saw in a video game once $10,000. Never gonna see that in real life.
No sir. Not in this economy. Not in this economy. You could buy an amount of NHL PlayStation 4s with that.
You could buy
probably like 200, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
I think that.
No, not 200. With $10,000, you could buy like 22 or 21, maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, this isn't the math podcast.
The modcast.
I definitely feel like I do like that's my like easy like back to Lost like template.
This isn't the that podcast.
This isn't the XYZ podcast. This is the Lost podcast. It can be a podcast about all sorts of things. It can be a podcast about anything.
But it always has to be a podcast about Lost.
It does. That's the one thing. It always has to come back.
That's what people know and love.
I just have to find smoother ways to transition back. this is my first regular podcast. I'm learning along with you.
Regular cast.
Yeah, it's me, a member of the regular cast. And speaking of a member of the regular cast, Kate wakes up to.
That was really fucking good.
Yeah.
That was really good. All right. Let's keep going. Let's build on that.
Yeah. Kate wakes up in the jungle after getting gassed, and she looks around and she realizes she got cuffs on. And what's she cuffed to? Well, it's not a what, baby. It's a whomst. It's Juliet. Just a moment ago, they were judo chopping each other, and now they have to be handcuffed together in the jungle. What hiding?
Jungle.
The jungle. I know.
What is this? The Beatles?
What does this jungle have to do with the Beatles?
They both have moppy hair. They're both dangerous to our kids. The jungle.
I really like the idea of like a 50s style like propaganda thing just about just jungles, just empty jungles.
The jungles are ruining our youth. We need to get rid of the jungles.
That's why they're doing it. It's for the kids.
Sorry, George. Gonna have to get rid of the jungle.
Oh, but I love it there.
Sorry, George.
Harrison.
I like the idea that whatever accent that you just did is the accent that one acquires from living amongst like gorillas.
Yeah, that's how they talk. You ever listen to them?
Yeah.
Didn't think so.
Yeah, I haven't.
I've seen Planet of the Apes.
I've seen those propaganda posters that kept me out of the fucking jungle.
Oh, boy. Okay. So they're handcuffed together, and they don't get along, but they got it because their survival.
It's all they got. All they got is each other.
All they got is each other. So at first they're like, whoa, you're another, and I am not. We're fighting. And then the smoke monster happens. And then they go.
And this was the island shuffle.
That was the island shuffle. Sorry, I've had a long week. They're like arguing about Jack or something, and then they get into an actual physical fight that ends with Juliet's shoulder getting for real dislocated.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That was a pretty good fight scene that ended in real consequences.
Yeah.
And immediately after the dislocation, we hear that classic sound of the howling smoke monster.
Ooh.
And they run into a bamboo thicket, which is somehow always the one way to be free of the smoke monster.
The smoke monster fucking hates bamboo.
Yeah, there's one thing you gotta know about the smoke monster. He can't be thin.
That's really funny. You got bars here. I can't be thin.
No, I can't fit.
This is the perfect structure that's wide enough for a human to fit through, but too thin for a vapor or a gas. Way too thin for a gas. I can't be thin. Fuck, he's a dumbass. He could just go in and kill them right there, eh? He could end the show.
I mean, imagine that pilot part 1 where it's just like you have the classic set piece, so they're all screaming in the wreckage. They're sorting it out. They're sorting out the luggage. You hear the howl, and Charlie goes terrific, and then the smoke monster just wipes them all out. And then it's just
that's it.
That's just the show. The rest of the show is just following the smoke monster around as he prowls around the island.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe in season 3, like 2 people come on the island and he kills them, and then we get 2 more seasons of like hanging out.
Yeah, that freighter shows up in season 4, and the smoke monster upends it all. Now that's an interesting alternate show.
I would think that eventually the smoke monster would leave. And he's obviously rich. He owns a private island. He would become one of the dragons in Dragon's Den, or for all you Americans out there listening to our show, one of the sharks in Shark Tank.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be interesting? If there's just an ominous cloud of smoke that's investing in people's ideas.
I will definitely say, and this is a thing that Lost, this is a pro for Lost, and a con for most other shows. Most other shows don't have ominous clouds of sentient smoke.
No, exactly.
That's one thing that this show really has a decent amount of.
And the big thing is, too, every other show that does have an ominous cloud of sentient smoke, that smoke can fit through bamboo.
Yeah, not this one though.
No, that's this one's weakness is that it can't be thin.
Why didn't Jacob think of that?
fucking Jacob.
Yeah, you want your cork, just fucking put it in, surround it with bamboo.
Just put it in jail.
Yeah, just put it in real jail. Just lock it up in real prison. Trick it with, like, lure it, bait it with, like, some philosophy argument. Bait it with, like, a copy of, like, Karl Marx or some shit.
Put it in a fucking cork. Put a cork on it.
Is Karl Marx a good philosophy poll? Probably not.
Pardon?
He's more just manifesto guy. Anyways, this is not the Marxism podcast. This is what? Okay, so they're hiding, and Juliet's like, "What the heck is that? I've never seen that crazy thing before." And they go on, and they get out, and they keep on arguing about Jack and Jack this and Jack that. And that's one thing about this episode. A lot of scenes with 2 female characters who are named. But this episode really does not. And I really am curious if this show ever does. But it does. This episode really has a lot of opportunities to pass the Bechdel test, and it never, ever does.
It never, ever does.
Every scene between Kate and Cassidy either revolves around Kate's stepdad, or not completely revolve, but like mentions Kate's stepdad or Sawyer. And every scene between Juliet and Kate revolves around Jack or mentions Jack at some point. For those not in the know, the Bechdel test is kind of like a feminism in media sort of thing, where it's like to pass the baseline level of representation, the 3 rules are: 1, you need 2 female characters to have a conversation. 2, the female characters have to have names. 3, they have to not mention a male character in that conversation.
And that never happens in this entire episode.
Yes.
That is probably like 70% of the screen time is devoted to Kate and Cassidy or Kate and Juliet.
Yeah, exactly.
And in every single one, they're either talking about Sawyer or the dad or Jack. And
and it's a silly it's one of those, like, it's not like if you include one scene you're that much more of a feminist example. It's just like one of those silly little things to just show how low the bar is for that kind of representation.
And the fact that like it wasn't achieved here is sort of staggering.
It's just like, oh yeah, this show is not the progressive beacon we once thought it was.
That we once really used to hold up Lost as a progressive beacon.
Yeah, it was really good it was great for representation.
I would like progressive bacon.
Well, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. You fry it up, and it you heat it up, and then you look at the pan after the grease is dried, and it spells out I don't know, something about Marxism. Or
or We Are the World.
Yeah. You know, the most progressive song in the world, We Are the World?
We Are the World. Well, it's just a statement of fact is all that song is.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. It is true. We're definitely not the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually they make it to they keep arguing about Jack, and it's kind of not like, I was really tuning out of those conversations. I don't know if
it wasn't very interesting.
I don't know if it was just the guac that was hitting me, but it was just a lot of like, I came back to the camp for Jack, and Juliet's like, Jack didn't want you to come back because you slept with Sawyer, and Kate's like, no, I really wanted to save him, and he knows that he wanted to save him, and Juliet's all, you don't know, I know Jack better than you ever do. I'm going to name I know when he was divorced. I know why his dad died. I know this and that. And it's just like...
Meanwhile, no one cares that Jack has relationships with both of these women.
Yeah, true. It's literally just like they're fighting over Jack, and it's kind of like, hey, all right. Okay. Yeah. Jack. Fight over Sawyer.
Exactly, that's the thing. Fight over Sawyer.
If you're gonna fight over a boy on the island,
fight over the main fucking character.
Fight over the protagonist. Anyways, so eventually they reach these kind of like pylon-looking things, and there's these kind of like electric sonar fences kind of things, and Juliet.
Smoke monster's coming back.
Smoke monster's coming back, and Juliet's like, no, we have to go, and Kate's like, no, I'm not going through that thing. And Juliet finally, in a panic, pulls out a key and unlocks the handcuffs that she had the whole time. Fucking snap twist, baby. And her explanation, and she goes over and she activates the sonar fences, and that's another one of the smoke monster's weaknesses. This weird sonar fence that the smoke monster can't just go over for some reason.
It hates it. Yeah. Even though the fence is like pretty low.
It's pretty low for a smoke monster's size. Anyways, so not only does Juliet know that the smoke monster doesn't like that fence, that is revealed. It is also revealed that them both being out in handcuffs was a plant of hers. She did that just so that, like, her explanation is really like it's another non-explanation.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't want to be left behind again.
Yeah, they left me behind too, and I thought if I was left behind with you guys would never accept me as one of your own unless I did this crazy, like, weird sitcom thing.
Yeah. Unless we created this scenario where we're handcuffed together.
Yeah, and then you believe me, and it's just like, and obviously Kate's just like, well, now I trust you even less than I did before.
Way less. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And so they make it back to the yellow houses. They wake up Jack, and they find Saeed there as well. And they're like, well, the four of us, let's go back to the beach, I guess. We got left behind. That's a shame. And Saeed's left, and Saeed's like, she's not coming, not Juliet. She's one of them. And Jack's like, nuh-uh, she got left behind too. She's one of us. And that's the end of the episode, formally. But here's the thing. There's another little plot that's going on this island.
A little whimsical plot that features our favorite buddy duo.
It's the protagonist, Sawyer, and the audience avatar, Hurley.
Yeah!
Woo! Woo! Give it up!
Yeah!
Woo! So Hurley comes over to Sawyer. Sawyer's sitting on the beach, as he does, enjoying a nice day on the beach. Hurley comes over, and he says, don't look. I'm not supposed to be
talking.
With this conversation never happened. He's being all smooth. It's great.
Secretive, like Hurley always is.
Yeah, classic
like
Hurley move. Snake. I love how my favorite thing about Hurley is how conniving he is.
He's a conniving little Deville. A petit Deville.
I was not ready for that pronunciation of Deville. Wow, that took me places. So Hurley comes over and is like, listen, everybody else is talking, and we're going to hold a vote to banish you from our settlement. And we're going to send you some ways down the beach. And if you don't make nice, if you don't prove, shape up your act or whatever, the vote's not going to go your way. And Sawyer's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm going to shout a nickname at you and get out of my way. And
he calls Hurley Rotund.
He does, yes. And it's a classic Sawyer wit.
Oh, Sawyer, you stop.
You think
you trickster.
You think he's just a brute and a grifter, but he's got smarts too. Anyways, so Sawyer tries to go fishing on his own. And there's a scene of him, and he has a fish, and he doesn't know what to freaking do with the thing.
He doesn't even know how to get a fish, and it's like you've been there for 3 months.
He's looking at the fish, and he's like, oh, he's making like googly eyes at it. He's like, what the heck do I do here? He's like doing like slapstick, like, whoa, wow, you.
Oh, and he gets covered in fish guts like you do.
Yeah, and he goes like, oh, gross! It's a gross fish. It's alive. Oh,
this smells.
It's played straight for comedy, and it is admittedly pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a good scene. I think Sawyer and the fish have a lot of chemistry.
Yes, they really do. I think Josh Holloway brings a lot. I think the fish brings a lot.
The fish brings a lot.
The fish brings a lot. I hope the fish got a credit. I hope he got a nomination. I think he deserved it.
I hope he got a neck nomination.
Go to hell. How dare you bring back neck nomination?
Have I ever shown you the best neck nomination I've ever seen?
You have.
Yeah.
Please describe this neck nomination. Should we provide some context for this?
Yeah.
Neck nominations were this thing that took it took some parts of the world by storm.
It took some, it was in Australia. It was big.
It was big in Australia, but it really took the Eastern Canada by storm. And the idea of a neck nomination is, I think the simple thing is you film yourself drinking a beer, and then you say, I nominate my buddy Rick, my buddy Carl, etc. And then they have to do it also.
They have to chug a beer.
This was a trend of, I want to say 2012, 2013.
Maybe
even earlier
around
than
there. I would say 2013, late 2013.
It was one of those things where it was like, okay, I don't know why this is a thing.
Yeah, this is bizarre.
And it's not like people weren't doing, it's not like, it's not like it was like for charity, because at least the Ice Bucket Challenge, that sort of thing, that was like, I'm donating this to research or whatever. And like that. And it's not like people were doing like, check out this guy's crazy one where he does a backflip off a stage or whatever. Yeah, it's just like people just like sitting at a desk. They just like drink a beer and then they're like, and then it's just like, well, that's it. Also, here's my nominations. It's not
and
like
where it did get crazy is when people would just do very dangerous forms of consuming alcohol. Yes. Someone would drink like a bunch of straight liquor or something, and it was really bizarre. But there was a good probably month and a half where it was unavoidable, especially like because we both grew up in maritime Canada, which has a weird, bizarre, like rural drinking culture.
Yes, indeed.
And so you would go on Facebook or your other social media of choice, perhaps Instagram or something along those lines, LinkedIn.
I hope you're not seeing neknominations on LinkedIn.
And you would always just see like, hey, this shitty dude from high school is chugging a beer.
Yeah.
But there was one specific one, where was this, these two kids, they were, I think, 2 grades younger than me. So at the time when they were making it, they were like 17. And so one of them, there was 2 friends, and one of them was doing the nomination, and one of them was like cheering him on. And he said, drink nominations. All right, my friend here, he's going to shotgun 3 cold shots, then drink some Frank's Red Hot sauce and whiskey. And then you watch this boy with a tattoo across his forearm that says established 1996. Shotgun 3 cold shots, which are a 6% shitty beer. Shotguns 3 of them in a row. And then he drinks a mug that is a combination of straight whiskey and Frank's Red Hot sauce. And then he like finishes it and he clearly looks very bad. And then his other friend goes, I'm going to shotgun a cold shot just because, and then bites into this can of beer and starts to shotgun it while the original drinker behind him throws up in the sink.
Oh boy, that's a sordid picture.
For some reason, this was just like a thing that occurred in the world.
Yeah.
Out of, I guess, I don't know.
Not much else to do out east, really.
No, exactly.
So, do you still keep in touch with this fella?
No. No. Lost contact a long time ago.
But he lives on.
Yeah, I think so, to my understanding.
Yes.
I hope he learned a valuable lesson from that.
I think we've all learned a valuable lesson from that. Consume responsibly, please, out there. If you're listening, we love you.
We love you. Love ya, bud.
Hey, bud, we love you.
So Sawyer and Hurley.
So Sawyer nominates Hurley. And Hurley chugs 5 coconuts. Okay, so Sawyer basically goes, all right, Hurley, you got it. I don't know how to fish. And Hurley's like, you don't know how to fish, you goober? And so Hurley's just like, whatever. Show me, or Sawyer's just like, whatever. Show me how to make nice. And what follows is a whimsical adventure of Sawyer trying his hardest not to be mean to people.
What is Hurley recommends first, he gives Sawyer a blanket and he says, go give this to Claire and like call her Claire and not a nickname and ask her how her baby is.
Yep.
And then so Sawyer walks up to Claire with a blanket and goes, hey there, Claire. Hey, baby. Your baby's less wrinkly than it was a few days ago.
And Claire is charmed.
Very charmed.
Claire is just like, well, whatever. I got a blanket out of it.
So that's a really good scene. Probably the best scene in the episode.
Definitely a highlight of the episode. And what else does Sawyer end up doing?
He goes hunting for boar with Desmond.
Yes, and Desmond has a rifle, and Desmond's just like clearly focused, and Sawyer's just like, grumble, grumble. Can't believe I got it. It's all like, okay. I'm gonna explain some context here, which is that Sawyer is just like, gotta win some hearts and minds. Gotta make nice. Gotta win the votes. He's like explicitly talking about winning the vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Desmond's just like focused on hunting.
He's just like staring down the barrel of a rifle.
Yeah, he's like, be quiet. There's a ball over here. And how was that?
That was like was he in the room with us? Was he just there?
Was it better than my George Harrison?
Oh, nothing could be.
Okay.
What was your George Harrison again?
Oh. I'm in the jungle, Paul.
That's funny.
Okay. Anyways, so he brings back a boar and they have a barbecue, and they're passing around the meat and they're sprinkling it, and everybody's laughing and having a good time. And Sawyer walks up to Charlie and goes, "Hey, hope you remember this scene when you're having your vote tomorrow." And Charlie's like, "Vote? What vote? What are you talking about?" And wouldn't you know it, the con man got conned by Hurley.
Hurley is the new con man, and thus is the new main character of the show.
Hurley is the protagonist.
If you con Sawyer, you become the protagonist.
That's how it works, just like real life. And it's also a sick con because Hurley was just making that up so that Sawyer would be nice to people.
Exactly. It was incredible. It was like really beautiful. It worked. Sawyer obviously got some amount of enjoyment from being nice to people.
Yeah, it was a very wholesome plot. And it was like, and Hurley had the best of intentions because he mentions, he's like, Locke's gone, Jack's gone, Kate's gone, all the like main people are gone. You've got to be our leader for a second, so you got to learn to be nice. Hurley's fucking pulling the strings, baby. He's the protagonist.
The best one.
Hurley's great.
That's why Weezer made an album about him.
Yeah, because Hurley's good.
Yeah.
And that whole plot is just a lot of very silly scenes with our protagonist trying his damnedest to get along with people, and it's very like, it doesn't add anything except for just like, I loved looking at it.
Yeah, it's just like comic relief.
It's just a nice, just
beautiful,
something to lighten the tension of Kate, who has murder in her heart and such.
It's beautiful. So
I believe that pretty much sums up the episode. And it was a. So what'd you think of this? Let me look at my notes while you say how you liked this episode.
I liked this episode a lot, actually, sort of because it was so. Sort of unintentionally whimsical. I mean, the Sawyer plot obviously was intentionally whimsical. That was the whole point.
It was deliberately very silly.
But the Kate plots were not. It didn't come across like they were self-aware that what they were doing was like really absurd, or that there was like logic didn't follow with the whole ideas of like why this lady would help Kate and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. Like, as soon as you can embrace that, and you're like, all right, this makes no fucking sense, and I don't give a shit. It's Kate versus the FBI right now, and like her relationship with her mom is on the line, and there's this complete stranger just helping her take on the FBI. Like, this is the show Lost, I guess.
That's the show Lost. I think that's true of a lot of Lost. Even the like worst of it is you just have to. And obviously there are some where it's just like, no, this is just unacceptably bad. But like, there's a lot of it is a lot more enjoyable if you just go, all right, this is just pretty silly, isn't it? This is just a quite silly thing. And that really greatly applies to this episode a lot. The Juliet and Kate handcuffs together stuff kind of dragged a lot for me. But the backstory and the Sawyer side plot really fucking howdy.
It was good.
Howdy.
That stuff was good.
I loved it. I love the show Lost, and it's a good show sometimes.
Let's watch another episode.
Want to just toss another one on?
Let's toss another one on the fire.
All right. Put another log on the fire. Put another Lost on the fire.
Put another Lost on the fire.
All right. I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
We're good, I think.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to us talk about whatever it is we talked about. The Beatles and neknominations, and of course the show Lost.
The show Lost. First and foremost, the show Lost.
My favorite television show. Hey, thanks for listening. I've been Bean.
I've been James.
And as we say at the end of every episode,
get